The text arrived while I was finalizing plans for the community center's Thanksgiving dinner. Spending the holiday at Amanda's this year, with everything that happened at the summer barbecue, we think it's best you skip this one. We want a peaceful holiday. My mother's words glowed on my phone screen, each one a fresh reminder of where I stood in our family hierarchy. I'm Catherine Mitchell, 34. And for the first time in my life, I've been officially uninvited from our family Thanksgiving. The summer barbecue incident my mother referenced? I'd simply called out my sister Amanda for lying about using my deceased husband's life insurance money to fund her lifestyle blog. Apparently, pointing out theft was considered starting drama in our family. Perfect, I typed back. My fingers steady despite the emotion building in my chest. Hope you all enjoy your peaceful holiday. My mother's response was immediate. Don't be like that, Catherine. You know how sensitive your sister is about money right now. I set my phone down and looked around my kitchen, where I had been planning to prep dishes for our family gathering. The counter was covered with grocery lists and recipe cards. Traditions I'd maintained even after losing James 2 years ago. My sister hadn't just taken his money. She'd stolen the last connection I had to our shared holiday memories. The community center's director, Michael, called just as I was about to sink into self-pity. Catherine, please tell me you're still coordinating the Thanksgiving dinner. We got twice as many sign-ups as last year. I glanced at my mother's text again, then at the list I'd made. Actually, Michael, I think I can do more than coordinate. I'm completely free that day. Really? That would be amazing. The kids from the youth program are hoping you'll be there. They love your stories. For the first time that morning, I smiled. The community center had become my sanctuary after James passed. A place where I could channel my grief into something meaningful. While Amanda posted about living her best life with my husband's money, I'd been quietly building a community of people who actually cared about making a difference. That evening, my phone buzzed with a call from my father. Princess, your mother told me about the text. Don't you think you're being a bit stubborn? Amanda's going through a lot right now. Is she, Dad? Is running a lifestyle blog and buying designer clothes with my dead husband's money really going through a lot? That's not fair. She's trying to build a career. No, what's not fair is everyone pretending what she did was okay. What's not fair is uninviting me from Thanksgiving because I refuse to play along. We're not uninviting you, he sighed. We're just trying to avoid another confrontation. By explicitly telling me not to come? Interesting definition of not uninviting, Dad. After hanging up, I threw myself into planning the community center celebration. If my family wanted to pretend Amanda was the victim, fine. I had better ways to spend my holiday. The next few days brought a barrage of texts from various family members. My Aunt Susan, can't you just apologize to keep the peace? Cousin Beth, Amanda's really hurt that you accused her publicly. Even my grandmother chimed in. Family should forgive each other, dear. Not one of them mentioned the actual theft. Not one questioned why Amanda had access to James's insurance money in the first place, or why she felt entitled to use it for her social media career. The pattern was familiar. Amanda does something terrible. Everyone rushes to protect her feelings, and I'm cast as the villain for pointing out the obvious. A week before Thanksgiving, Amanda herself posted a long Instagram story about toxic family members and choosing peace over drama. Her followers flooded her comments with support, none of them knowing she was talking about the sister whose dead husband's money funded her perfectly curated posts. I channeled my anger into action. The community center's Thanksgiving plan expanded from a simple dinner to a full day of activities. I coordinated with local businesses for donations, organized volunteers, and arranged for professional photographers to document the event. Michael was thrilled, especially when I suggested inviting local media to cover our celebration. This could really help with fundraising, he said, eyes bright with excitement. Are you sure you want to take on so much? I know holidays can be tough since James. I'm sure, I replied, surprising myself with how much I meant it. It's time to make some new traditions. The day before Thanksgiving, my mother tried one last time. Amanda feels terrible about the money. She's willing to talk about paying you back if you'll apologize for embarrassing her at the barbecue. I stared at the message, a strange calm settling over me. 2 years of watching my sister spend my husband's death benefit on Instagram props and designer clothes. 2 years of family members telling me to let it go and keep the peace. And now they wanted to negotiate. No need, I texted back. I've got plans for tomorrow. Enjoy your peaceful holiday. Then I turned off my phone and focused on finalizing details for the community center celebration. My family wanted peace. They could have it. I had something better planned, something that would show them exactly what they had chosen to exclude me from, and more importantly, what I had built without them. Little did they know, their peaceful Thanksgiving was about to become the talk of the town, and not in the way they planned. Thanksgiving morning dawned crisp and clear. While my family was probably gathering at Amanda's for their peaceful celebration, I arrived at the community center at 6 a.m. where a team of volunteers was already setting up. The main hall had been transformed with autumn decorations, long tables dressed in burgundy cloths, and handmade centerpieces created by the youth program kids. The local news crew will be here at noon, Michael announced, helping me arrange the welcome station. They're doing a special feature on community Thanksgiving celebrations. And guess who they want to interview? I looked up from the name cards I was organizing. Please tell me you're joking. Nope. They specifically asked to speak with the coordinator who turned a small community dinner into. He checked his phone, reading from an email. A testament to the true spirit of Thanksgiving. The irony wasn't lost on me. While my family had excluded me for causing drama, I'd be speaking on live television about bringing people together. By 11 a.m., the center was buzzing with activity. Local restaurants had delivered hot dishes, bakeries sent fresh pies, and volunteers streamed in with homemade contributions. The smell of turkey and spices filled the air, reminding me of past Thanksgivings before James died, before Amanda's betrayal, before my family chose peace over justice. My phone had remained off since yesterday, but I knew what I would find if I turned it on. More messages about keeping the peace, probably some passive-aggressive posts from Amanda about choosing happiness over negative energy. I didn't need to see any of it. The news crew arrived right on schedule. Sarah, the reporter, was immediately drawn to our story. So you coordinated all of this, she asked, gesturing to the bustling hall. What inspired you to take a small community dinner and turn it into such a large celebration? I thought about my mother's text about being uninvited for the sake of peace. Sometimes, I said, looking directly into the camera, when one door closes, you find a better one to open. This isn't just a dinner. It's about creating a space where everyone is welcome, where no one gets uninvited for speaking the truth. The interview continued as guests began arriving. Families from the neighborhood, elderly residents from nearby apartments, students who couldn't travel home. Everyone was welcomed with open arms. The youth program kids proudly showed off their centerpieces, telling anyone who would listen about the art classes we'd started last spring. Around 2 p.m., my phone started buzzing in my bag. I had turned it on for coordinating with volunteers, but hadn't checked any messages. Now it was vibrating constantly. Curious, I glanced at the screen. The local news station had already posted clips from our celebration online. My interview was trending on their social media, and apparently my family had seen it. There were missed calls from my parents, texts from various relatives, and a string of increasingly frantic messages from Amanda. How dare you make this about you? Mom's crying because of your stunt. You're ruining everyone's Thanksgiving. I smiled and put my phone away. Let them see what they'd excluded themselves from. Let them watch as their dramatic daughter created something beautiful without them. The afternoon flew by in a blur of activity. We served over 300 meals, organized games for the kids, and even had an impromptu talent show where seniors from the community shared stories and songs. The photographers captured everything: the laughter, the hugs, the genuine joy of people coming together. This is better than any family dinner I've been to, Michael commented, helping me serve pie. No drama, just pure celebration. No one had to be uninvited to keep the peace, I added, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. By early evening, our celebration had made it onto the evening news. The story featured clips of the festivities, interviews with happy guests, and me talking about the importance of inclusive community spaces. The reporter ended the segment by calling it a shining example of turning personal loss into community gain. I knew my family was watching. I could picture them in Amanda's perfectly decorated living room, their phones blowing up with calls from friends who'd seen the news. Their peaceful holiday probably didn't feel so peaceful anymore. More messages poured in, but not from my family. Community members, local businesses, and even strangers reached out to praise the event and ask how they could get involved next year. The community center's social media following doubled, then tripled. Donations started coming in through their website. Catherine. Michael called me over, his face glowing with excitement. You're not going to believe this. The mayor's office just called. They want to feature our Thanksgiving celebration in the city's annual holiday guide. They're asking if we can make this an annual tradition. I thought about James, about how proud he would be seeing his insurance money helping build something meaningful instead of funding Instagram posts. I thought about my family who chose to exclude me rather than confront Amanda's actions. An annual tradition sounds perfect, I replied, watching volunteers box up leftover meals for local shelters. After all, everyone deserves a place at the table. As the evening wound down, I checked my phone one last time. Among the flood of messages, one stood out from my grandmother. My grandmother's message was different from the others. No accusations, no demands for an apology. Just a simple, I saw you on TV. James would be proud. Can we talk? Of all my family members, Grandma Rose had been the only one who questioned Amanda's sudden lifestyle upgrade after James's death. She'd also been the only one who regularly checked on me during those dark months after losing him. Her message felt like a lifeline in a sea of family drama. The next morning, I met her at her small house on the outskirts of town. She was waiting on her porch, a photo album in her lap. I have something to show you, she said, patting the seat beside her. Your grandfather and I started this tradition back in '75 when the mill closed. We hosted Thanksgiving for all the laid-off workers and their families. The album was filled with faded photos showing community dinners remarkably similar to what we created yesterday. I never knew about this, I said, touching a photo of my young grandmother serving turkey to a crowd. No one in the family talks about it anymore. It doesn't fit their image of what holidays should be. She closed the album carefully. What you did yesterday. That's real family. That's real peace. My phone buzzed. Another message from Amanda. Mom's a mess because of your publicity stunt. Hope you're happy. Grandma Rose saw the text and shook her head. You know, I've been quiet too long about this. Your sister took advantage of your grief, stole from you, and somehow made herself the victim. It's time someone besides you spoke up. Before I could respond, she was already dialing my mother's number, putting it on speaker. Mom, my mother answered, sounding tired. Margaret, we need to talk about what really happened with James's insurance money. What followed was the conversation I'd been trying to have for 2 years. Grandma Rose methodically laid out everything. How Amanda had convinced me to give her temporary access to the account while I was deep in grief. How she'd gradually siphoned off money for her blog. How the family had chosen to ignore it to keep the peace. But she's paying it back, my mother protested weakly. Only after Catherine exposed her. Grandma Rose shot back. And you all punished Catherine for telling the truth. You uninvited your grieving daughter from Thanksgiving while protecting the one who stole from her. How do you justify that? The silence on the other end was deafening. I need to think about this, my mother finally said, hanging up. Grandma Rose squeezed my hand. Give it time. Truth has a way of breaking through. Eventually, she was right. By Sunday, the facade began cracking. My father called first, his voice heavy with shame. I watched your interview again. You said something about not uninviting people for speaking the truth. Princess, I'm so sorry. Then came my Aunt Susan. I saw those community center kids talking about their art classes. You've built something beautiful there, Catherine. We should have seen it sooner. Even my mother finally called, though she struggled to find the words. Your grandmother, she made me see things differently. We've been so worried about keeping the peace that we lost sight of what's right. Amanda predictably took a different approach. She posted a lengthy video about toxic family situations and choosing to rise above drama. But this time, the comments weren't entirely supportive. People who'd seen our community celebration asked questions she couldn't answer publicly. A week after Thanksgiving, the community center hosted a planning meeting for future events. The response was overwhelming. Local businesses pledged support, volunteers signed up in droves, and the mayor's office promised funding for expanded programs. Your holiday dinner inspired quite a movement, Michael said, showing me the donation totals. People are calling it Everyone's Table, a place where no one gets uninvited. I liked that name. It represented everything my family's peaceful Thanksgiving hadn't been: inclusive, honest, and truly peaceful. Grandma Rose became a regular at the center, sharing stories about her own community building days and teaching the kids her famous pie recipes. She brought old photos for our bulletin board, showing that sometimes the best family traditions aren't the ones that exclude, but the ones that welcome everyone. My mother and father started volunteering too, quietly at first, then with growing enthusiasm. They never explicitly apologized for uninviting me from Thanksgiving, but their actions spoke louder than words. Amanda kept her distance, but the family's dynamic had shifted. Her attempts to play victim fell flat when confronted with the reality of what she'd done. The insurance money was being repaid slowly but surely, though our relationship might never recover. As for me, I found something better than a seat at my sister's Thanksgiving table. I found my purpose, my community, and a new kind of family. One built on truth rather than artificial peace. Yesterday, we had our first planning meeting for next year's celebration. As I watched Grandma Rose teaching kids how to make paper turkeys, my parents organizing donation lists, and Michael coordinating with local businesses, I realized something. Sometimes being uninvited from one table leads you to build a bigger, better one. Hence, everyone's table. Everyone's welcome.